Deputy Chairman Fred Hampton of the Illinois Black Panther Party. Repeat after me. I am a revolutionary. I am a revolutionary. I am a revolutionary. I am a revolutionary.
You're looking at 18 months for the stolen car, 5 years for impersonating a federal officer, or you can go home.
The Black Panthers are forming a rainbow coalition of oppressed brothers and sisters of every color.
Their aim is...
Shalom, Akyam. Kohalo, Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shah. First off, man, I want to say, Kohalo, Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shah, Bashim, Kaha, Kodash. I want to send double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Much peace, love, and salutations to Yakim out there pushing the word in sincerity and truth. It's Brother Ariella. Today, I just want to do a lesson on Judas and the Black Messiah / Texas Blackouts connection. And I want to talk about a little bit of mindset and propaganda that's being perpetuated, through media in all different types of ways. Some things that are coming down the pipeline that we talk about within the algorithm videos and brothers have touched on, in their different lessons that they've put together. And, concerning Judas and the Black Messiah, this is a kind of like a, documentary kind of movie, that highlighted Fred Hampton, and basically, the COINTELPRO, systems that are inside of really all major so-called Negro movements and other movements as well. But this one just particularly highlighted Fred Hampton, and it's a good movie, really good movie, actually. I highly suggest brothers go watch it. And a lot of the stuff was actually pretty accurate. Fred Hampton, he was one of my favorite people, man. Coming up in my college days, he was one of the people that I studied behind Malcolm X. Probably me and Brother Sayonala, we studied, and also the Brother Mike Allah here in the Dallas camp. We all studied Fred Hampton very well. We ended up going to political conventions out in Chicago. I actually got to meet Fred Hampton Jr. And, so we followed his story very well. So, actually his story led us into, just searching for answers, searching for answers for our people, searching for answers for the wickedness that was going on, that's been going on in American history for so long. And when you really know what happened to the Black Panthers and how they were infiltrated and set up on so many different levels, there's several people that are still in jail serving terms of just BS terms, yeah, man, it definitely led us down the road that ended up leading us to the Hebrew Israelites and really getting the answers that we were seeking for. Because when you see what's going on, you understand like everything is so infiltrated and so corrupt within the economic and political system of America. There's a hopeless feeling. And you read about that in the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, when you go down to the 15th verse and read about the curses that has fallen you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans that have befallen our people. There's a hopeless feeling when you look into a lot of this stuff. And, one of the things that I do notice is that there's definitely a mindset of, coming up against the current capitalistic white empowered system. And, even in this trailer and in the movie, it talks about, Fred Hampton's Rainbow Coalition and just coming together with all the poor and downtrodden people to create a new socialist type of movement. And it's a part of, an overall mission to basically tear down this current system and reset things in a kind of like a communist / socialist technocratic, beast system. And they want to implant those ideas in people's mind of bucking up against the current system, and especially you Negroes, and calling out for a new system, a new change. Okay? And they're pushing this more and more and more. And now that people are sitting at home, things are frozen, people are frustrated with the government, people are frustrated with decision making that's been going on. And, they are very intentional about what they put in front of you. They would not let any of these movies get through the pipeline if they did not want that message to be pushed out. And it's very, very interesting, the timing of the drop of this movie and just other things that's going on. I want to start off with the first scripture in the book of Genesis. When we go to the book of Genesis, the 11th chapter, and talks about Nimrod, 11:1, it says, and the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. Okay? We're talking about the building of the Tower of Babel. When you skip down to the 6th verse, it says, and the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they began to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. And so, the mindset is just basically this one world government, this one world organization, bringing everybody together in a rainbow coalition type of effort. That's what's really coming down the pipeline, and we're seeing more and more and more of this rhetoric. And, I'm going to get to why I'm linking this with the blackouts here in a minute. But I just want to kind of set the stage with, this whole Judas and the Black Messiah. There's that idea that comes from Fred Hampton of combating racism, combating the social and the economic constructs that have made America what it is today, and for all the people to come together and resist. All right, and you're starting to see more of that within the Western beast system in general. Now that they're pushing universal income in a certain type of way, they're pushing a debt jubilee, taking away your student loans. All right, they're pushing, we need to get rid of the police force. These are all ideas and concepts that go back into communism and capitalism. Communism and socialism. All right, so I'm gonna play a little piece of the Fred Hampton speech just to give you a little bit more context.
What makes them mad about it? What makes them mad about it is that they had black people and white poor people and red poor people and Puerto Rican poor people and Latin American Puerto Rican people of poor people of all descents. They had them caught up in movements based on racism when the Black Panther Party stood up and said that we don't care what anybody says. We don't think you fight fire with fire best. We think you fight fire with water best. We're going to fight racism, not with racism, but we're going to fight with solidarity. We said we're not going to fight capitalism with black capitalism, but we're going to fight with socialism.
We're not going to fight capitalism with black capitalism. We're going to fight it with socialism. Okay? We're not going to fight racism with black racism. We're going to fight it with solidarity. All right? Mingling, everybody coming together underneath one social, political / economic, unified mindset. And that's what they're going to present to you, man, as peace, as us coming together. Poor Fred Hampton. Look how wicked this current government is. What can we do?
Said we're not going to fight reactionary pigs and reactionary state attorneys like this and reactionary state attorneys like Hanrahan with any other reactions on our part. We're going to fight their reaction where all of us people are getting together and have an international proletarian revolution. Right on. And that's it.
An international revolution.
And all power to the people. Right. That's saying that no matter what color you are, there's only two classes. And that's saying there's a class over here and there's a class over there. And the reason that this class over here has never did anything to get this class off its back, because this is lower, this is upper. This is the oppressed, this is the oppressor. This is the exploited, this is the exploiter. And these people in this class have divided themselves. They say, I'm black and I hate white people. I'm white and I hate black people. I'm Latin American and I hate hillbillies. I'm hillbilly and I hate Indians. So we fight amongst each other. And you've heard the testimony of pigs here. You got pigs of all colors. You know that. You got pigs that are white. You got pigs that are black. You even got pigs that are black and white. propagating the same type of madness that this buffoon Henry had would be propagating if he were here himself. And why? Because they want to keep you to believing that I'm your enemy, and that everybody else that's black and that wears a lot of hair on his head and hair on his face, they want to keep you thinking that he's your enemy. Why? Because if ever you would disregard him and overlook him just for a minute and throw away that question of racism and start dealing with a little logic, then there would be no one else you could attack other than Hanrahan, other than David.
And so these mindsets and this understanding is being pushed out there, man. It's being pushed out there really to generate a socialistic agenda, a globalistic agenda, a one language agenda. And underneath that one language agenda, that whole construct, they're going to suck down everything. They're going to have complete control. Right? As the people beg and plead and cry for their freedom and for opportunity and for equal, equitable standard to be set all across the world, that's where the global reset is going to come into play. Not just a reset economically, but it's going to be a complete reset of the whole world as you know it. A complete reset of how we deal and interact socially, how we deal and interact politically, and how we deal and interact economically. The whole way that the world is moving is going to be switched around, all right? Psalms, the 2nd chapter, the 1st verse says, "Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us." All right, and really that's the mindset. That's why they've set up the COINTELPRO, project, and you best believe that the Hebrew Israelites are infiltrated. There's a dude sitting amongst the camps. He's there. He pays his tithes. He reads. He holds signs. He preaches. He does his sit downs and lessons. And he screams, "That's right!" hard as hell with spit flying out his mouth. He came and picked you up, and when you needed him, he helped you fix your tire. He fought with you whenever somebody rolled up on the camp. He cooked the best chicken that you ever ate. He anointed you at the Passover. He prayed for you when you needed it. He cried with you. And he's a full-blown agent. And they showed that very well in this movie. To a point to where, even though I knew it, it was just like, dang. Because when you go back and you research it, that dude was up in there. He was fighting. And was a full-blown agent, man. And you best believe you got people mingled amongst the One West camps that are full-blown agents, regular jakes that's being utilized, man. Sellouts, man. All right. And they set counsel and they set things. They want to set things up so they can produce all the type of anger, hate, and problems that they need to create the reaction that they want so they can have the prepared solution for everybody to come and take on, right? We're reading 1 Maccabees, the 1st chapter, in 41. It says, "Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion, and sacrificed unto idols, and profaned the Sabbath. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange law of the land." Right? So a reset happened. King Antiochus called for a great reset, and everybody's different governments to come underneath one government. And we're having this happen again. All right? Now, going into this article here from the conversation, it says Davos 2021, "To achieve a great reset, we can't count on the same old globalists to lead the way." This was written in January 22nd, 2021. I'm going to actually skip down, I'll read this first paragraph. It says the 51st World Economic Forum starts on January 25th, so it's already passed, right? But with a major difference, whereas this is famously the annual gathering at the Davos ski resort in Switzerland of global leaders, the kings of the earth, right? from business, government, and civil society. This year's event will take place virtually because of the pandemic. Inevitably, the event for the 1,200 plus delegates from 60 countries aims to respond to the apocalyptic events of the past 12 months. A crucial year to rebuild trust is the theme, built around the Great Reset that World Economic Forum, WEF, founder Klaus Schwab and Prince Charles launched last year. Right? So, the Great Reset, it says, the World Economic Forum's vision of a Great Reset recognizes that what is needed to tackle these crises go far beyond economic reforms, or climate measures, or tackling a pandemic. It is all of these combined and more. It is the idea that global action needs to be underpinned by a mission to change society, to make it more inclusive and cohesive, right? Rainbow Coalition, right? To match environmental sustainability with social sustainability. It follows their call to build back better, one echoed by many around the world. So we have to understand that there's this message of build back better. And this shows you that all of these elites are connected. They're all connected. And everything you see is propaganda. From movies to music to news to YouTube, social media, it's all propaganda. It's all leading you in a certain direction mentally and spiritually. And while they put together the right type of constructs that will facilitate a gradual change, and the change will happen, and it will happen, and it will slowly go their way, and then there will be a major event, and then everything that was already built up and ready is going to be there. Okay. The next paragraph says, the World Economic Forum seeks action across 7 key themes: environmental stability, fairer economies, socialism, tech for good. All right, there's your chip. The future of work and the need for reskilling. See that? Better business, healthy futures with fair access for all, and beyond geopolitics. Right? National governments collaborating globally. A one world order. See? The World Economic Forum says the key is reestablishing public trust, which is being eroded in part due to the perceived mishandling of coronavirus pandemic. But this must prove difficult given there is a little change in corporate or government leadership. The big hope is 78-year-old Joe Biden, who was U.S. vice president for 8 years, during which many of these problems were mounting, not being solved. Oh my goodness, look at this demon. Sadly, the main cause for optimism is the fact that today's crises are so great that they may provoke action. Future financial crises look likely. The climate crisis is increasingly accepted to be an existential threat. And now the pandemic is a huge economic and human disaster, with further pandemics recognized as likely because of everything from the explosion in global travel to effects of climate change. So I want to highlight this whole build back better mindset. When you go to Biden's, and Harris, their whole campaign, what was it built on? Build back better. Joe Biden's jobs and economic recovery plan for working families, right? So you best to believe that this is all linked in together. All of these things are linked in together. They need everybody on the same page. They're fighting for that, all right? And this whole Davos World Economic Forum is just a place where the elite come together and they get all of this stuff pinned down. And they want to make it sound sweet and beautiful and it's good for everybody, but really it's just to control and dominate you. Psalms, the 55th chapter, 20th verse says, he hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. All right? Psalms 28:3 says, draw me not away with the wicked, and with the workers of iniquity, which speak peace to their neighbors, but mischief is in their hearts. All right? And so mischief is in the heart of these leaders. All right? You best believe mischief is in the heart of the leaders. And what we see a certain amount of mischief is the whole issue with the Texas electrical grid. It's a whole mindset thing that they're pushing right now, these blackouts. I'm going to play a piece of this, but I want to break it down to you just to take a look at what they're doing.
As many Texans enter their second or third day without power, with no definitive end in sight, some are questioning how such a widespread meltdown is even possible. The answer lies with Texas's energy grid.
So Texas opted long ago to be the only state that maintains its own independent grid from the rest of the country and Canada. This is to avoid federal regulations. But federal regulations also force most electric producers in this country to be further winterized for situations like this.
That means
that was not even true what he just said. The reason why Texas did what they did is to force capitalism and competition, so you wouldn't have a monopoly on who provides the energy to the state. That gives the consumers more options. That was the reason why Texas didn't do that. It was to actually continue to have this idea of capitalism and free enterprise be alive in the state. Texas is a place where people come to build businesses, build their future. And that's why everybody's flooding Texas right now. They're leaving these so-called liberal states, socialist kind of states from New York, California, and they're coming to Texas because there's more opportunity to actually build something for yourself. The whole electrical grid is a part of that. All right? But now there's this sentiment that's being pushed that, we need federal regulatory powers so people can be taken care of. We need federal, mandates and regulation so people can have the power and the things that they need, right? This is all propaganda.
power plants in Texas haven't necessarily taken the steps that others in, say, Minnesota or Maine or even Arizona take to ensure they can keep operating in frigid temperatures. And while other states with interconnected grids can essentially borrow power from each other when demand spikes, Texas's go-it-alone approach left it without anywhere to borrow from.
This whole mindset of borrowing, this whole mindset of socialism, this whole mindset of everybody just getting the same thing. They're pushing that mindset. It's a globalist agenda. And Texas is being isolated as a rogue state that needs to be put underneath federal control. All right?
Now, this unusually large storm is exposing the vulnerabilities of that underregulated system as it struggles to cope with wind and ice.
See, they don't see you having your own stuff as being sovereign or independent. They see you as having your own stuff as being unregulated and unsafe. That's what they're pushing. They're pushing individual freedom as unregulated. Globalism as regulated, safe, peaceful. All right, we're together. And so now, even when you go down in the comments, people are just like, shame on you, Texas. Shame on you, Texas. You know, Texas. The results of Texas GOP's denial of reality experiment are in. You know, there are reasons we have regulations. They're to make things better and safer. Deregulations and lies have consequences. See this? See that? Everything is big in Texas, even the mistakes. Go it alone. Avoid government interference. Sympathy for Texas. Yep. Right between the shit and syphilis in the dictionary. I feel sorry for those with no choice, but those in power need to face consequences. See? It's propaganda, bro. And it's working perfectly. And I could keep, playing this, and it's just going to continue to highlight what I'm telling you. There's an agenda being pushed, and that's been set about before any of this stuff was ever even started, man. Bro, they really started pushing this stuff heavy back in 2015. All right? Real heavy. And we're just seeing them piece by piece utilize their power to work iniquity, to take your rights, to take your liberties, to control you, to put you underneath this system. Micah 2:1 says, "Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it's in the power of their hand. They covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage." You see all of these type of regulatory constraints coming into the private sector. All right? Social media. We need to regulate how people conduct themselves on social media. We need to make it safer. There's people on there spreading conspiracy theories. What if someone believes them? There might ferment a terrorist. We need to protect. There's bullies online saying mean things that are hurting people's feelings. This is not right. We need to have a safe place. We need more regulation. In every facet of your world, they're gradually increasing the mindset and the verbiage of regulation. This needs regulation. This needs to be controlled for your safety. What if you get scammed? What if this happens? What if you lose everything? The markets. People are trading with the whole Wall Street. Oh, we need more regulation on these retail investors, man. They don't know how to buy these stocks, man. Every facet. Piece by piece by piece by piece by piece. All right? And they're implanting these certain ideas that they ain't never talk about no Fred Hampton, man. They ain't never talk about no Fred Hampton, bro. But they showed you how demonic the so-called white man is too. All right? But underneath the whole story is this idea of socialism, banging up against the system, turn the current construct of today's systems down, and coming together with a rainbow coalition, coming together with a new system. All right? They want you to come into something new. An example of this is Esther 3:8. And Haman said unto King Azarias, he says, "There is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of the kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people. Neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them." All right, and these people know, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, when you come together and you bind yourself under the decree of the Heavenly Father, you are the most powerful people in the world. You are the apple of the Most High's eye. They need you to subject yourself to the laws of the King, to this one world government that they want to set up, man. And so they have this Build Back Better plan, and they're using this reset to get you geared up for what's set to come.
And that I have repeatedly warned about, to take the tools of oppression used to tackle the coronavirus and use them all, lockdowns, forced business closures, exclusion zones, isolation. We heard Angela Marsden earlier, businesses shut down, isolation at home, all of that, all of those measures, including destroying private property rights and private income in order to tackle the climate crisis.
Now is a historical moment, a time, not only to fight severe virus, but to shape the system.
We have a unique but rapidly shrinking window of opportunity to learn lessons and reset ourselves on a more sustainable path. It is an opportunity we have never had before and may never have again. So we must use all the levers we have at our disposal, knowing that each and every one of us has a vital role to play.
The Great Reset is a welcome recognition that this human tragedy must be a wake-up call. It is imperative that we reimagine, rebuild, redesign, reinvigorate, and rebalance our world. Rebalancing investment, harnessing science and technology, and advancing the transition to net zero emissions, all elements of the Great Reset, are fundamental to building the future we need.
Bro, he just broke down the mark of the beast. Go back and rewind that.
And that last one was the clown Guterres, who was at the Climate Ambition Summit, telling us the world is going to cook by 3.5 degrees or something by the end of the century. Yeah, right. This Great Reset is as serious and as dangerous a threat to our prosperity, to your prosperity and your freedom, as we have faced in decades, with these powerful bodies, including the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, the International Monetary Fund, and even Prince Charles boasting that within a few short years, yes, their words, you will own nothing and you will be happy. Remember, this is not me saying this is them. They are even running ads for the Great Reset.
You will own nothing. You will be happy. Whatever you want, you'll rent. It'll be delivered to you by drone. The U.S. won't be the world's leading superpower. Look at that. A handful of countries will dominate.
A handful of countries will dominate. I wonder which ones they might be. A terrifying coalition of big business, big tech, and left-wing totalitarians are so confident and so brazen. I mean, they just stole the US election, so I guess they're feeling pretty chuffed with themselves, that they are now promising you will own nothing and you will be happy. What they should have added is, and we, the very rich, will own everything and be even happier. Of course they will. The great tragedy here is that Prince Charles is involved in this fascist, corporatist global push and is thereby putting our entire constitutional monarchy at risk.
And it sounds so ridiculous, but piece by piece by piece, they are 100% making it happen. Okay? Check this out.
Very pertinent question to ask, how do we build back better?
To build back better or whatever.
We have a chance to reset the clock and build back better than before.
To build back better than before.
Remember the terrible damage of COVID as we try to build back from this global pandemic.
Joe Biden calls it build back better.
Build back better.
Building back better.
To do things differently. To build back better.
We're going to build it back better.
And build it back better.
It's my plan to build back better.
Start taking all the problems that have been created in education and mental health and start to build back in a positive way.
I have launched a booklet called Build Back Better, written after coronavirus.
It's about building this country back better.
Growing conspiracy following it. It is called the Great Reset.
An unprecedented opportunity to rethink and reset the ways in which we live.
The great opportunity for reset.
The theory even calls Mr. Biden's campaign slogan, Build Back Better, a front for the conspiracy.
Build back better.
Building back better our economy.
Build back better.
All elements of the Great Reset are fundamental to building the future we need.
This pandemic has provided an opportunity for a reset.
It's a big effort some would say to build back better. We would say to really have a great reset.
Conspiracy.
Yo, what more do you need to see on that one, bro? Like, come on, bro. All right, let's just get real. This is from theconversation.com. Building back better may seem like a noble idea, but caution is needed. Written February 4th of 2021. The phrase building back better has been prominent in calls for recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. It invokes the opportunity to use the disruption to rethink our ways of organizing societies and communities, and to use the recovery effort to channel investments toward more inclusive, resilient, and environmentally friendly outcomes. An increasingly diverse array of actors in different parts of the world have been using the phrase. U.S. President Joe Biden made Build Back Better the leitmotif of his election campaign and his transition into the White House. A plethora of agencies and think tanks are proposing ways of building back better during the pandemic. These range from the British Academy to the World Bank, and even a coalition of corporate CEOs. Meanwhile, civil society activists around the world connect the phrase to Arundhati Roy's description of the pandemic as a portal, a gateway between one world and the next. But hidden in these various invocations are likely desperate visions visions of what better actually means and how to achieve it. Also, there may be a need to reconsider whether a crisis is needed. Crisis is indeed a good time to implement potentially far-reaching changes. In a recently published paper, I outlined the opportunities and risks associated with ambitions to build back better at this point in time. Opportunities and risks. The phrase building back better entered the lexicon of policymakers, aid workers, and scholars in the wake of the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, though its basic idea has been around much longer. Since then, numerous articles have sought to define the term, provide empirical analysis, and make recommendations. They show that building back better is quite challenging to implement in practice, and it may involve diverse emphasis or dimensions. There are both opportunities and risks. Okay? First, the opportunities. Building in the current context of the pandemic refers to broader, more intangible public benefits such as public health and welfare systems. Government's expansion of public health infrastructure in response to the virus may have longer-term benefits and make sense to identify those synergies and invest in them. Another domain of public sector policy innovation is in welfare. The pandemic has shown that societies without effective social welfare systems are not only more susceptible to greater humanitarian and social fallout during crises. All right. They are also more vulnerable to the spread of disease, as people without adequate sick leave or medical and unemployment insurance are more likely to go to work despite feeling unwell. There is thus a growing recognition of social welfare as a kind of social immune system. This has reinvigorated debates about a basic income grant. It is also highlighting the importance of social community activism and not only responding to the immediate public health and welfare needs, but also in longer-term social innovation. Now the risk. The first revolves around timing. The period following a disaster may not be the best time, morally and practically, to attempt long-term social change, given that many people have immediate needs. There may thus be a tension between the fairness principle and the need to channel support to the most vulnerable. On the one hand, and the longer-term view encased in building back better ambitions on the other. Also, psychologists point out that individual and collective decision-making capabilities are challenged in times of stress. We are more likely to make judgments and decisions based on pre-existing biases when we are under pressure. Okay? And they're utilizing this, man. They're utilizing that mindset to be able to ferment anger, ferment what they need so they can put in the right type of regulatory control mechanisms. We're seeing this. We are seeing this. All right? I want to play, actually, this is actually a really good article, but there's a video that's going to kind of bring it together a little bit for me. All right, this is a video a brother just sent in. Plans to use COVID for Great Reset are very sinister. Play a little bit of this.
A lot on Outsiders. Amazing show. You don't need the pump up. It's just kicking ass. Number one thing on Foxtel on Sunday, mate. Congratulations.
Thank you.
About the Great Reset, which essentially is using COVID to reorganise the economy. And we're getting a little version of that here in Australia. We're reading today that there are backbenchers inside the Labor Party saying, don't waste the COVID recovery, as Labor is sharpening its policy focus, according to the Financial Review. Anthony Albanese, while talking about this in part today, said this in Queensland.
I have said very clearly, in accordance with when I received the election review, that we would have an ambitious agenda, but it wouldn't be one that had more than 280 costed policies. That's around about 6 times more than any of the other political parties had at the last election. We will have measures and a narrative that's clearly understood.
No one cares. Now, of course, he's talking about a leak that was about to find budget savings, right? Great. I'm all in, but we know that no one's going to be finding any major budget savings. But we know Build Back Better, the Great Reset, whichever it happens to be, it's marched through lots of areas of our society. And I'm surprised that, again, we're not hearing too much about this yet here in Australia, but I can feel between now and the next election we're going to hear a lot of it.
We are, and I applaud Scott Morrison and the coalition for being sensible enough to recognise that Build Back Better and these slogans are like Black Lives Matter. They sound great, but if you actually delve into what they stand for and what the agenda is, they're very, very sinister. The entire COVID swapping into becoming climate change is the great fantasy of the left, of great fantasy of governments that can't get elected in other ways, but they love the power that COVID has given them, the ability to tell people to shut down small businesses and to transfer the wealth across to their mates and all the rest of it. They love this, and they're determined. They tell us, not us, they tell us that they want to see the same measures used for climate change.
Now, Pauline, the best thing is that you get to, of course, be in the federal parliament. The worst thing is that you have to listen to Green speeches. Do you hear much of this coming out of the mouths of people who are already in the parliament suggesting that COVID is an opportunity for us to ...
Not on the floor of Parliament as far as COVID is giving them the opportunity to do ... But I feel that there has been this agenda set, and we've heard of the global reset, Paul, and we hear that there's this socialist agenda that's going on worldwide to destroy our democracy and destroy the family unit, and that is actually what is happening. So when we hear this rubbish that...
Listen to what she just said.
There's this socialist agenda that's going on worldwide to destroy our democracy and destroy the family unit, and that is actually what is happening. So when we hear this rubbish that's going on, taking away the rights, like now, they're doing away with Mother of the Year. That's actually being canned, so you can't have Mother of the Year. I see this is encroaching on our rights, and slowly they're changing it. Now, you talk about, Ron, you said, congratulations to Scott Morrison, his view and standing up to him. Well, I don't see it. Remember, I put up the notion on the floor of Parliament that all lives matter. When you have those Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. And yet the coalition, everyone, voted against it. So you have the coalition, I feel, are not standing up for the Conservative voters and standing up against the push from the left to just...
And so they're using all of these different facets. Like I said, they're using social problems, issues between race, maybe like class wars a little bit in there, stuff like that. They're using political issues, the left-right paradigm, conservatism versus liberalism. And then they're using the global financial issues, the capitalism / versus socialism, to create the right type of environment of friction, so that there's all these problems going on, and so people are going to be calling for a solution. And COVID really does set the stage for a lot of issues in all those different arenas, because these people are not being taken care of, and these people are being taken care of, and now these people need help, and these other people are taking advantage of these people that need help, and now these people are mad because now the money is going towards helping, and so it's just all these different types of issues that's going on, man. That'll be utilized, and the media is using movies, is using these different situations to continue to push the ideas that they want to go out, man. And, I had a couple other things, but I think the point has been made. And pretty much the point that I wanted to bring out. I'm gonna close it out with a couple of scriptures here. I want to pull Isaiah 32:7. It says, "The instruments of the churl are evil. He deviseth wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words, even when the needy speaketh right." All right? "But the liberal deviseth liberal things, and by liberal things shall he stand." All right? And so, there are all of these type of devices that are being produced right now is going to ferment war, is going to ferment the coming of the MOB, the market of these systems. And so we're seeing everything piece by piece come in hand, man. And, I'm not going to continue to belabor the point, man. I feel like it came out. If you brothers have points, comments, scriptures that you want to add, please do in the comment section. And Lord willing, that was edifying and kind of brought some things together, man. Call halal Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shah Bahashem Rakah HaKodash. Double honors once again to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Much peace, love, and salutations to y'all. I'm out there pushing the word sincerity and truth. Shalom.